Now, normally at this time, we would show you a fun little intro about the character, but today we have a special announcement that we wanted to put at the start of this video because it's important to the reality skewed gamers and the tactical noobs, and we hope that it's important to you as well. Every year, the Reality Skewed Gamers does an annual fundraiser for a charity in order to show that we are a gaming community that wants to make a difference. And so this year, we are once again partnering up with the American Cancer Society to do our 2020 fundraiser. The first event to kick it off, however, is happening on September 24th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, where myself and Ranger J 1999, one of the other Reality Skewed gamers, will be going to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, where we will be doing a live stream from the Children's Playroom at the Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorder Center. At this, we will be streaming, we'll be playing games, all of this in an effort to raise money for the American Cancer Society. So, if you could, please make sure that you check out the link below. There is a link to the stream as well as a link to where you can donate. Please help us with this and let's raise money to help end cancer. And with that, let's get going. Hey everyone, welcome to another Reality Skewed Gamers Tactical Noobs video. I am Finity, one of the Tactical Noobs, here to talk to you about the latest character in Tactical Monsters, Mulan. Now before we get started, please make sure to take a second to like this video, share it with other players, subscribe to our channel, and of course, comment in the video about anything that you have found with Mulan as well. So let's start out by looking at her progression as a character. When you take a look at her progression, she gets an increase to her ultimate and her passive at levels 5, 8, 17, and 20. But what's most important actually for her is going to be level 14. Level 14 increases her mobility by 1, and that increase in mobility is really what helps to drive this character a good bit. And so because of that, make sure that if you're playing Mulan outside of any kind of esport, that you get her to at least level 14, because that is when she gains the main crux of her character, and because of that, she becomes a very useful monster. So now let's look at her common ability and why the mobility is so useful. So her common ability is the Dashing Strike. It's very similar to the Harpy character, where she will attack and then return to her position. We will take a look at her stats in a little bit. Her mobility is actually really good, so it makes it so that she can avoid any kind of melee combat at the beginning of a match because she's going to be able to keep that distance. She already can avoid counterattacks, but the fact that she can attack and pull back makes it so that she's not an easy target to pick off at the beginning. Because of that, it adds to her versatility as an attacker, and she's actually pretty fun to play when you're trying to do that kind of run and gun type of style. Now let's take a look at her ultimate. Now her ultimate is a 3 energy ultimate that allows her to travel anywhere on the map, deal damage to the character, and stun them for 1 turn. Now, what becomes important about this? Well, as you progress through her leveling, what you'll see is that she gains damage on her ultimate, but really the ultimate damage is not really the key to her ability. Her key is really that stun. So while you progress and you can hit level 17 and get that extra damage, we found her strength really to be at the lower levels where she can deal this additional damage, which isn't necessarily overpowering, but when you add the stun on top of it and the fact that it's a 3 energy ultimate, she becomes very easy to help control the match early. And so that makes it so she's very effective in those level 12 standard matches as well as those esport modes. So Mulan can be very useful in those moving forward because of her versatility as an attacker. So now let's look at her passive. So her passive ability is that when she kills somebody, she gains extra damage for 1 additional turn. Now this is a useful ability, especially late in matches. Early in matches, it really doesn't have too much of a say, but if you can time things correctly, she can become very useful with this. So Mulan with her passive, it's an okay passive, it adds a little bit to her character, not super necessary, which is why we still recommend level 14 as the key to her character, but this extra damage does come in handy as you get later into matches and you're finishing off characters. She can help control the match between this and her ultimate, which allows her to stun. So now let's take a look at the stats and see how she really compares against other monsters in the game. So when you take a look at her stats, most of her stats are pretty much what you would expect from an attacker. Her health is right in the middle. She's an attacker, not a tanky character, so this is what you would expect from her. Her physical defense and magic defense are 2, which puts her right up near the top. It's a good value for an attacker of her style. Her initiative is in the upper half. It's not necessarily the first, but you don't necessarily need her to go first. Her mobility, once you get to level 14, gets her to 4, which puts her right below Wukong, who is the most mobile out of all the monsters, but Mulan is now ranked amongst the second that have a mobility of 4, very much needed for her abilities. The disappointing part about Mulan is her damage. Her damage as an attacker still is above most of them. However, she is still not very high, and this damage output is really what would make her over the top. Right now, she's a very useful character. She's a fun character to play, especially in esports, but the low damage does pose a hindrance for her as a very strong melee attacker. And so because of that, she's a good character. She's a fun character to play. We think you're going to enjoy her, but in terms of the most competitive outputs, Mulan is going to be maybe a little bit lacking because her damage is a little bit low, and it does take a little while to ramp up in order to use her passive. So let's talk about some of the synergies, and we'll mention some characters that can also potentially put a stop to her as well. When first looking at Mulan, we wanted to see what her strengths and weaknesses really were. And a team to surround her that really played to her strengths is a team that really does a lot of control and a lot of ranged attacks. Because Mulan, while she is a melee character, does, with her common, go into melee attack and then retreat in order to prevent any kind of counterattack. And so, because of that, we wanted to put together a team that synergizes with this theme of her character. And so the first character that we paired her up with that seemed to work out really well is Troot. Now, the reason for Troot is that when he does the initial rooting of all of the characters, it makes it so that she is able to pick a monster within range to attack it and retreat, basically getting a free turn of damage on that monster. And so, Troot works really well with Mulan in order to get a good first turn control of the match and additional damage output. Because her ultimate is a 3 energy ultimate, a great character to fit in with this team that is also a range character is Carissa. Now, Carissa helps to speed up this ultimate, which provides an extra stun on the team. The extra stun allows you to control the match in turn 2, after Troot helps you control it in turn 1. So this synergy comes together with controls over the first 2 rounds. And then you have to have a big damage dealer in the back, and we haven't used our legendary character yet, so the biggest damage dealer in the back for the legendary is going to be Mr. P. Now, Mr. P is one of the best legendaries in the game right now. He's utilized in multiple different game modes and still used at the very top end. Mr. P is a great investment. He is ranged, he is armored, and he is able to take a beating and dish out that same kind of damage. And so this team of Mulan, Troot, Carissa, and Mr. P works out really well synergistically. But the abilities of Mulan also have a few drawbacks, and so you are easily countered by certain characters. The 2 characters in particular that counter this strategy are going to be Colonel Baba and Frankie. Colonel Baba is definitely the best anti-stun monster in the game, and by that, he makes it so that Mulan's ultimate is not going to be as effective as it should be. Frankie provides a shield to the weakest character, which makes it so that that initial turn output that they get in turn 1 and turn 2 with Mulan, Troot, and Carissa ends up being negated to some extent because Frankie is taking some of that damage, and you're not going to get the monster advantage by the end of turn 2 that you would hope for. So these are some of the synergies and counters that we found. Now let's take a look at some gameplay here.
We need like characters that like can't get rooted. Do you know what I mean?
There are. Kronos wasn't rooted.
Yeah, Kronos. But besides Kronos, who can't?
Sabrina shouldn't be able to. Harpy. Any aerial character can't get rooted.
The aerial ones that can't get. Okay, I hear you. I'm working on it. Still my turn.
Mm-hmm.
the worst 4 words you can hear. It's still your turn. No bueno. I gotta get my thumper in there. Oh, I did that wrong. I should have defended there.
Alright, let's see what happens. Oh, just stab me.
Sort of getting it. Oh ho ho ho.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't take a lot of DPS, right? I mean, she doesn't have a big health pool.
No, she doesn't. She's definitely more on the attacker side of things.
She's a great attack character.
Syncing data. There we go.
I love how she moves on the around the board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I wish she had slightly I'm getting syncing data. How did he get to go twice?
Because I delayed on the other turn.
Oh, is that what you did?
Mm-hmm. I was hoping that she would go down. So close.
You killed Liberty, Finity! You killed Liberty! Killed it!
Now I'm rooting your pig that doesn't even need to move.
I don't even understand.
Well, because his ultimate was up. That's pretty much it.
I thought I was going to survive that one.
Thanks for watching this video. Please make sure to give us a thumbs up and leave any comments you have about how you found uses for Mulan as well. And lastly, please make sure to join us on September 24th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. US Eastern Time, where we will be live streaming for the American Cancer Society from the Pediatric Oncology Playroom.